Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Utah County Republican Party podcast. I'm Charles Max Wood. I'm the party vice chair, and I am here with Christy, the party chair. Now, we're going to jump in and talk about endorsements, which is something we've got coming up here pretty fast. So, Christy, I'm not sure where you want to start.
Okay.
So I'll kind of flip it over to you, and then I'll chime in where I feel like I need to.
All right. Well, let's talk about what happened first so we can get everybody on the same page. For those who don't know, just for this 1 year in 2025, we are doing endorsements in nonpartisan races, and that includes our city council, mayoral races, and school board. And so for just this year, we are looking at endorsing candidates on those levels.
Just to be clear, real quick on that, there had already been a resolution passed to do school board every time they come up.
Yes.
But the resolution to do the city council and mayor, we only passed it for this year.
Yeah. And the reason why the school board is a buzz is because we have 3 new school districts.
Yep. Which also, incidentally, just for those who are following along, those elections usually happen in our regular election years. And it's just this year, because of the split of Alpine School District, that we're doing both. So,
so we have a lot going on right now. So I've been getting inquiries. You probably have too, Chuck, about how we're going to do this and what does it entail and how do people do both with the filing, either with their city or with the county, and then also file with us for the endorsement. So let's jump into this one that you have up right now, which is the if somebody's interested in running for a mayor position or a city council. So if you want to run to be a mayor or city council, you can go to your city or town office. That's where you need to go first. And you do that through June 2nd through the 6th. And there is one exception. We found out in the process of this that Utah County has a new city. It's called Spring Lake. And if you happen to be in that area, you have to file at Utah County Election Office for that one.
Right. So, and that's in Provo, right by the courthouse.
Yeah, and I think the address is on both of the flyers. If not, you can do that with a quick search on the internet. The other thing that you need to do, so if you do that and you file, that does not automatically include you in for the endorsement for the party. So you're going to have to do 2 things. So one is file with the city or town office, or if you are in Spring Lake down at the county building. And then the second one is you're going to need to go to our website, which is ucrp.org, and you will need to fill out the form there. And so you'll have to do those 2 things. We've tried to make it as clear as possible on the flyer. So it says step 1, you need to go do this. Step 2, you need to go do this. And then on that form, it will give you some more information. Now, we are asking for a $50 filing fee. We don't normally do that, but because this is countywide, we're going to have a lot of venues that we have to schedule. We're hoping for a little relief in scheduling those, and hopefully it'll be worth it as people come to those meet the candidates. So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that when we use the schools or other public facilities, we still have to pay for them. So that's what we're talking about with the filing fee. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I think it's important to go over a little bit of why we're doing this, because I think in a lot of cases, folks look at it and go, well, you're the county party, so aren't you just worried about the county races? Or sometimes we run some of the state races for the state legislature because those areas are completely included within the county. And so then people look at it and go, so why are you concerned with school board or mayor and city council? And if you really look at our platform, incidentally, we've put up proposed changes to the platform, pretty extensive changes, not necessarily to the core meaning of the platform, but, just to clarify some things based on what we're seeing in the legislature these days and other places. But a lot of the things in the platform apply not just to the state or to the county, but they apply to the cities and school boards as well. And so that's where the party has determined, and all of these have passed through our central committee, which is the governing body of the party, to say, hey, we need to weigh in on these races because this is where the rubber meets the road for a lot of things that affect the way people live. And in my mind, the way I boil the platform down is this is the place, this is the kind of place I want to live. These are the kinds of freedoms I want to have. So these are the kinds of legislative or executive principles that we ought to live by. And so in order for all of us to have the kind of place that we want to live and the kinds of freedoms we want to have, we need our city governments and our school boards to be acting appropriately as well as the state stuff.
Yeah. 100%. Somebody said, I mean, this was a controversial, a lot of people remember it was slightly controversial, the passing of this. And somebody said, potholes don't have parties. And I thought that is not accurate at all, because to fill potholes, you have to use tax dollars. And so how you spend tax dollars, it does matter the philosophy under which you want to spend someone else's money. And so for those, I have been on a city council, and the underlying philosophy in which your city council is voting directly affects you. And so, yeah, this was never a question in my mind at all, whether or not we needed to, if we had the opportunity, weigh in and use our platform to help guide candidates into those races and hopefully into those seats. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the other thing I want to point out is that as we get down to the city level, there are probably a lot of things that the other parties, whether they're independent parties or the Democratic Party, that we generally agree on, right? We want the traffic to move. We want the sewage to work. We want our garbage picked up, right? And so, yeah, potholes don't have parties, well, whatever, but we can have that in our platform. They can have it in theirs too, right? And so what we're looking for is the best governance in our cities, not necessarily to beat the Dems.
Yeah, and people tend to, especially if you don't live in the world that we do, where politics is pretty much our everyday, they tend to divide those lines or think of those lines along really broad subject issues, social issues, things like that. And they don't realize that if you were to read through our platform, you will find that there's so much that happens on a local level that does matter. And so taxes are probably the biggest one, but there's so many other things. So hopefully we'll get a lot of people excited about this, and we will get them out. The other thing that we can do, there's a gentleman at that Central Committee meeting who came to the microphone and was speaking against it. And he had said in his comment that he just didn't think that the party needed to arrange any of the events, like to meet the candidates or to help facilitate those things. And he said, because it seems like that was already done on its own. Well, I got home and I got a text from him because I know him. And he said, never mind, I take it back. I called those city reps and I asked them how many meet the candidates they went to and how many events were held. And they said 0. And he goes, I think we need the party to help facilitate some of these conversations. So,
yeah. And that's one thing, too, that I want to point out as we get into the timeline is that a lot of the things that we're putting together, yes, we're hoping that our delegates show up so that they can help us vote for the right people in the endorsements, but they're open to everybody. And so if you have a concern about the way your city runs or the way the school board's going to run, in this case, since it's a split, it's how your new school district is going to get set up, how they're going to hire their superintendent and things like that, come. If you're not a delegate, still come. Right. And that's the real power of this is if we put these people in front of more eyeballs, have more people look at what they're about, listen to what they have to say, they're gonna make better decisions, and they can help their neighbors figure out who the right people are. And that's what we're looking for, as much as we want to, throw some endorsement weight behind the kinds of candidates that are going to make the right decisions for our cities and our school boards or school districts. We want really to open this up to anybody who has a concern about their city, because you may have run into something that's not on the radar of the delegates and make it a campaign issue that we can actually push forward. And
Absolutely.
That's the other thing that we're also looking to do is, insofar as there are concerns about the way that the city or the county or anybody else is doing things, we want to help connect you with these people anyway, even after they're elected. And so to the extent that we can facilitate that so that these concerns can be heard, not just during an election season, we want to be there too.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's look at that one from the school board. That flyer, if you have that one. So school board is a little bit different in that when you file, you need to go in person to file for school board to the county office building. It is 100 East Center Street, Suite 300. You can look up the information
3100.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3,100. Yeah, you can look it up at voteutahcounty.gov. But we really want to emphasize in person. You have to go and do it in person. That's June 2nd through the 6th. And then after you do that, step 2 is to file for the endorsement with the Utah County Republican Party. That is on the website, and that is the 2nd through the 13th. So we're extending that obviously longer than the other filing period because we want to make sure that people get the word out and they know about it and they can get that filing done. So a little bit different city and town. You need to go to your local municipality. School board, you need to go down to the county office building.
A couple of other things just to kind of give people a little bit of context is if you're going to run for school board. I ran for school board a few years ago. And so you walk into the office. I think it's on the 3rd floor of the building. So you walk in, you get on the elevator, you go up. And then they have the forms there. You fill them out. You sign them. You can also get a map of your district. They offer you a whole bunch of other information that you should take advantage of. And then, we're leaving it open through the 13th because we also want to make sure that we reach out to each of those candidates and make sure that they know that it's a possibility. So we really are trying to be even-handed. We're not trying to say, oh, well, if you didn't know, too bad. We're going to try and make sure that you know. And then I think the other thing people need to know is our bylaws are pretty clear that you have to be registered as a Republican in order to be endorsed by the party. And so if you're an independent or a Democrat, hopefully you have the right ideas and good luck. But we're going to be endorsing Republicans for these seats.
Yeah. I was going to say on the 13th, just so you know, some people will ask, all of our filings go till midnight. So anytime we have a filing open, it's till midnight. We just feel like, get home from work late or life just gets busy. So we always put those till midnight.
And it's a Friday, the 13th.
Oh. Well, there you go. I did want to say, so on those new districts, some people might not know the new names. So when they were split, I believe they were Central, West, and South. And now they have picked up new names, Timpanogos, Aspen Peaks, and Lake Mountain. And so Timpanogos was previously known as the South, Aspen Peaks, Central, and Lake Mountain, West.
Yeah, and just to be a little more specific, if you haven't been following along or you don't know where the lines are, Lake Mountain is Saratoga, Springs, Eagle Mountain, Fairfield, and Cedar Fort. Aspen Peaks is Lehigh, American Fork, Cedar Hills, Alpine, Highland, and the part of Draper that's in Utah County. So Draper comes up over the mountain toward Lehigh. There's a highway that goes up there now and goes right by the Draper Temple. But anyway, so if you live in any of those areas, you're going to be voting for that school board. And then Orem, Linden, Pleasant Grove, and Vineyard are the Timpanogos district. And also, one other thing to keep in mind is those school boards are going to be doing a number of things, including possibly changing the name. The name's not set in stone yet. So if you see it come up and then, in 2 or 4 years or 3 or 5 years or however long it is, you see school board and it doesn't have those names, it's because the board has the ability to change them up to a certain point.
Yeah. So let's talk about how we are going to facilitate those. So we've got obviously a really large county. There are 25 cities. And so if you have even 2 seats available or a city council and a mayoral seat available, then we are talking at least 50 races with those. And then with each school board district, there are 7 seats. Is that right?
Yes.
So we're up into the around 75 races mark, and then we'll have candidates for that. And so we had decided the best way to do that would to probably break these into 5 zones or areas. And that would be the 3 school board and then a central and south that goes down to the municipal races in the southern end of the county. So,
Right. So again, and it was nice because the school district split along city lines. And so there won't be a ton of crossover on any of this, except for maybe if you're doing a city specific event, you might have some of the school boards crossover. But for the endorsements, since we're doing it by these 5 areas, we'll have it cleanly split with the cities.
Yeah. So we decided to take the majority of our steering committee members, because this is such a big undertaking, and assign, I think it's like 3 to 5 cities per steering committee member. And so we've broken those out, and we are working with the House chairs of each of those to help facilitate those. So our hope is that we run Meet the Candidate events along city lines. And so I'm in Highland. Highland would have Highland City Council, plus we would invite the applicable school district members to come, or candidates to come to our Highland City Council Meet the Candidates. And then the other cool thing is that if you have some seats that aren't up, you can invite those city council members, invite elected officials to the Meet the Candidates. Any of the events that you want to do, we really want the cities to get involved and engaged in both the school district races and the municipal races that are going to be there. And so we thought the best way to do that is really keep the geographic boundary within the city. So that way, when I go around, I can say to my friends that live in Highland, hey, all the stuff that's affecting Highland in our area will be at this one location at this night, and come and talk and ask questions and vet these candidates. So I think it's a good way to do it. It's actually kind of started a little bit of a buzz in my city with some of the city council members, and I know they're already excited that people are looking like they're a little more engaged than they have been previously. So
yeah, when I ran for school board, I wound up going to some of the meet and greets because I was seeking an endorsement then. And I'll tell you, I got way more engagement and met way more people going to the meet and greets than anything else. And so I think it's a terrific opportunity, not just for the public to get to know these people, but it's a terrific opportunity for these candidates to get to know the people.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff right now that's really affecting municipalities. It's no surprise. I think a lot of people know there's pushback on density and who's in control of planning and zoning. That's a big, big issue among cities right now. And there's other infrastructure questions like that. Cities, this is a great place to engage. And I think it's a good place to go to, if you've never been to a Meet the Candidate and you're a member of the party, go and kind of see how things work. And we're going to do the best we can to support them. So I'm excited. Did we miss anything?
No, I just want to reiterate, the thing that's exciting to me is that we have the platform as the yardstick. And so it's not just this arbitrary, are you partisan enough or pure enough or special enough or Republican enough? No, it's literally, hey, look, these are things that we're concerned about, and we're going to bring them up. And there may be other issues, in some of these cities or whatever, where it's, hey, there's a particular concern in our city, right? Where, maybe in Lehigh, you don't like the bond they passed to build the new city hall. Or maybe you have concerns about the way that they're putting parks in or zoning parts of the city or something like that, right? That don't necessarily fall on partisan lines, but, you can look at the principles in the platform, you can look at how it affects people in their daily life, and you can ask them about all those things, which is just awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is, government that's closest to you, engaging with the party that appreciates government that's closest to you. So, yeah.
I want to add is if you go to one of our meet and greets and you find a candidate you particularly believe will do well for your city or school district, go help them out. Go help them pass out flyers. Go knock on doors. Go make phone calls for them. Whatever it is that they need, figure out how to help them get there, because I can tell you that some of these races across the city or the school board races are particularly small areas. Every little bit makes a huge difference.
Yeah. The other thing we are going to, in fact, today, going to be sending out an email countywide to all of our members to let them know that this is happening. We will have all this stuff on our social media. And then because we are coordinating so many of these races across the county, we will have, for those who have participated in our nominating conventions, we will have scrollers on our website that will put up all of the events, and you can go and look. They'll be in chronological order of which one's happening first. And you can go and look at the scrollers and find where the Meet the Candidates are for your city. And we've already got those built out, so we'll just be plugging those in as we can get the reservations for the venues.
Well, I also wanted to let people know that if there are, to the extent possible, cottage meetings, or there are other people out there that are, depending on the city and what's going on there, they're setting up their own events, and we want people to go and do as much vetting of these candidates as possible. And so we're going to be doing work to make sure that those are also listed on our website. So if you're thinking, well, I'll go to the party and see what they're doing, and then I'll try and find the other stuff, we're hoping we have all the other stuff there, so you can just go, okay, I need to go to that one and that one and that one, and I've got some questions for that guy, and I know he'll be here, so that one, and right, and then you have a good idea of who you're voting for in the endorsement races or the primary.
Yep. And then I remember, just check our social media over and over, and our website, ucrp.org. And if you're not sure, we should already be set up in a way that you can reach out to your precinct chair, who can reach out to their house chair and let you know what the plans are for your area, and let you know when that stuff is. And honestly, feel free to volunteer and help coordinate those things. I'm sure that those house chairs would love the help.
So, if I were a candidate, I'd be thinking, okay, so I'm going to show up, I'm going to file at the city office or at the county office. I'm going to file on ucrp.org. They're going to have some meet and greets probably through June. When are the endorsement races, and how do I make sure that I'm ready for the primary?
Yeah, so the endorsement races, we are looking at either the end of June or the second week of July, when everybody gets back from the 4th of July. We've worked with the state because a lot of requests usually come about the indicia, which is the postage discount if anybody's looking at mailers. Our timeline should be fine on that, because ballots are not due to be received until the 22nd of July, and that should give enough time. Now, the whole state has the same primary date, which is August 12th, and so that will be like really busy mail time, but we still should be fine on that. We will hold one area, like one district area at a time. And so we'll have 5 across the county, and we'll usually hold those in an evening, or if there happens to be a Saturday, and we'll have ballots printed and you go in. The other big thing, this is the probably one of the biggest questions that I get asked, I almost missed it. People want to know, in each race, is there just one endorsed candidate, or how does that work? And so I'm going to let you, since you wrote the bylaw, Chuck, you can answer that.
So I'll just jump in here. I was the one that modified the bylaw. I'm not going to go into how we used to do it, because it confused people. Effectively, that was a problem. And so we changed it. The way that it worked before is you could endorse more than one person if you had more than 2 people running. Now the way that it works is you get a ballot with a list of all of the candidates for that particular race on it, and you mark any of them that you want to endorse. So if you think they're all terrible candidates, you can leave it blank and submit your ballot. If you think they're all awesome, you can check them all and submit your ballot. And if you're going him and her and him and maybe him, so maybe I'll check him, and you leave the rest of them blank, then what we do is we'll tally it up, and anyone who got 60% of the delegates to check their box, regardless of who else they checked, will get endorsed. So if there are 6 candidates for a race, you can, 6 of them may wind up endorsed, none of them may wind up endorsed, or somewhere in the middle may wind up endorsed. And so we're not just picking one. It didn't make sense either for example, I live in Lehigh, and we have 2 seats open plus the mayor. And so it doesn't make sense to limit it to 2 or to, whatever. If we've got 4 terrific candidates, let's endorse all 4, get them through the primary, and then we know we have 2 solid ones in the general, right? Or however many they narrow it down to. And so that's what we're looking at doing. So yes, more than one can get endorsed. There's only going to be 1 round of voting, so it's not confusing. And we'll just tally them up and tell you who got over the line and who didn't.
Yeah, which I love, because we're looking at support for our principles and our platform. And so multiple people,
right.
We actually hope that every single person that's in a race would be an endorsed candidate, because that means we've got really good options for our local government. And so that's fantastic. Yeah, that's probably the number one question that I get, is how many people can be endorsed. And later on, there's going to be questions after this about some of the details on how those elections are run. We're going to do another mini little podcast episode with Wendy Hart, who is our chair for the elections portion. And then we'll also talk about how to fill out and get approval for the indicia after people get endorsed with the state. And so there's a process for that. So we'll get more into the details also of the special mini conventions that we're going to hold. But for now, we just want to make sure that nobody misses the deadline that wants to run for these offices, and nobody misses the deadline who wants to seek the endorsement. And so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of our officers on the website. Don't reach out to me right now because I'm going to Puerto Rico tonight, and it covers most of the filing period. But Chuck will take all of your emails and questions and texts.
Yep, absolutely. Just email vicechair@ucrp.org, and I will answer as many of them as I get.
Awesome.
So,
okay. Well, I hope we covered all of our bases. If we didn't, please email any of our officers, ask questions, and go to our website for any more information, and you can check that email that's coming up.
Yep. Also, that does remind me, you mentioned the website. Our officer phone numbers are listed there as well as our email addresses. And so if you text me, I'll text you back too.
Yes, me too. All right, cool. Thank you, Chuck. And we're excited about this endorsement period that we're going into. And if anybody wants to volunteer, we're happy to.
All right. So just to wrap up, Christy's internet connection's kind of flaked out. And so I'm just going to wrap us up. But I want to remind everybody, first of all, if you're going to file or if you know anybody who wants to run, make sure that they get filed with the city or the county, depending on whether you're a city race or a school board race. Make sure that you're filing in the appropriate place by the 6th, and that way you can run. Because one thing that I found is that even if you don't win, you learn a ton by having been part of the election. And so I can't recommend highly enough. If you care about these issues, you think you can make a difference, go run, and you'll find out pretty fast where kind of the ground lies. But if you're supporting somebody else who wants to run, who's been involved or hasn't been involved for a while, then make sure that they file by the 6th. And then make sure that if they're a Republican, that they file for the endorsement by June 13th. There's a $50 filing fee to help us cover all the venues that we're going to be using over that time period. And then, as we said, keep an eye out for the events that we're doing, meet the candidates city by city. And so be aware of that. We will be reaching out to the candidates who are seeking endorsements and making sure that they can come. They will be open to the public. And we really look forward to working with folks so that we can get these endorsements in and help support the candidates with manpower or anything else that we decide to throw their way, and use every advantage that we have to get people that align with the principles that lead to good governance in our cities and our school districts. And then finally, like Christy said, if you are looking for help over the next week, you can reach out to me. My phone number's on the website, ucrp.org. My email address is as well, but I'll put that out there. It's vicechair@ucrp.org. After the 6th, when she's back, you can email Christy as well. But if you email her before the 6th, then she's not going to be able to respond to you. And we are delighted to be able to help people in this area and make a difference in these races. One other thing that I'll point out is that a lot of the people that wind up within the city government or school district government often move to higher office. And so what you'll see somebody that's involved, say, on a city council or mayor, they'll wind up in the state legislature or something else. One example is the late Mia Love, who we're sorry we lost. She was the mayor of Saratoga Springs, and then she wound up running for Congress and winning. And so there's just another example there of, hey, these people do move to higher office. And so if we're picking good people who align with our values at this level, we may be picking good people who align with our values who eventually wind up at the other level. So definitely let us know if you have any questions, and we'll get things posted so you understand a little bit more about how the balloting works and things like that. So thanks again. I'm Charles Max Wood, Vice Chair of the Utah County Republican Party. And until next time, Max out.